Welcome back, Commander. Though it may not know it yet, the galaxy is under threat. And to combat this threat, 2 idiots must do donuts on the moon. The game is Mass Effect, and this is the N7 Project.
Status report.
Okay, Zach, status report. How are things going with you?
I'm pretty good. It is fucking cold outside. Like, it is actually snowing here. I don't know if it is where you are, but
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't snowing last time I looked, although I'm in my windowless cave office, so I wouldn't know if it was. But yeah, it is ridiculously cold for Texas, even in January.
Not a fan of it.
And then it's going to be back on at 70 on Tuesday. So
Yeah. It was like 60 yesterday, and today it's snowing.
we're just getting,
Texas weather for you.
yeah, just one good cold front through to kill some plants and cause everybody a headache, and then back to our summer climb.
Yeah.
I have a game recommendation that you might be interested in.
Okay. Hit me.
It's called Beast Breaker. This was actually recommended to me by Alice, who you remember, she was on Monster Mechanics at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how to describe it. It is a puzzle fighting game, I would maybe say it is, where it's based off the physics of like a pool board, like a pool table, where
Interesting.
you're firing yourself along a 2D space and then bouncing off of various things to essentially each time you hit, you're attacking whatever it is you're bouncing off of. So there'll be this like huge geometric enemy, and you're a tiny little mouse with either a sword, a hammer, or a bow, and you're like, you have to like figure out the path that you're going to be flying, you're going to be rolling down, so that like you're going to be bouncing off of it multiple times to hit things. And it is both the art is cute and the like puzzle fighting mechanic is really good. I'd highly recommend it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
It's one of those games where, at least for me, it was like, oh, this is cool. It's like 9 p.m. I'll play an hour or so of this before bed, and then it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, wait, what happened to the time between now and then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely one of those. Well, in that case, let's move on to the mission debrief.
Mission debrief.
First of all, the most important question. Have you tried turning your Rogue VI off and on again? All right. We will get to the VI stuff here in a minute, but we're going to start off with the quest UNC Asari Diplomacy. You can get this quest one of several ways, either by just talking to an Asari diplomat who's called Nassana Dantius, who is, by the way, Gray fucking Delisle.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. I heard that voice and I was like, oh my God, I recognize it. That's fucking Azula. Like, she, amongst a lot else. Like, Gray Delisle, also called Gray Griffin, I think. Yeah, she's fucking fantastic. Anyway, you can talk to Nassana Dantius in a bar on the Citadel, or by reading a journal entry of some guy on Noveria. I don't think I've ever gotten the quest that way. Or just by flying to the Macedon system in the Artemis Tau cluster, at which point Nassana Dantius will like hit you on the comm and be like, hey, come talk to me first. But then you don't have to do that. You could just go fuck around. It's fine. Nassana Dantius claims that her sister has been captured by mercenaries and she needs Shepard to help save them from these mean, awful people who are definitely working on their own. Absolutely nothing suspicious here. Dropping onto the planet Shargilla, Shepard can find the pirate stronghold and lay waste to the place. Everything inside is hostile and shoot on sight, so I guess we're not taking any of these dudes or dudettes into custody. Do Spectres even arrest people? Instructions unclear. Everyone is now dead. If you root around the lead pirate's desk, you'll find some data files revealing that the quote-unquote Asari slaver whose corpse is slowly cooling in a heap about 5 feet away is actually, Nassana Dantius' sister. You fly on back to the Citadel and talk to the blue one who started all this, and it's revealed that the sister was blackmailing Nassana, who was trying to manipulate Shepard into killing her sister to prevent a scandal, which you've now done, probably. You can use this info to extort some extra cash and an armory license. Nassana Dantius returns to her life of ruthless business dealings that I'm sure will never come back to bite her in the ass again.
So yeah, in my case, I think it was just kind of we showed up on the planet, like killed a bunch of slavers, and then like, oh hey, there's this thing about a Nassana Dantius, and Jess, my wife, actually remembered her because I was like, oh, that's that bitch Asari on the Citadel. I hate her.
Yeah. She comes off she starts off immediately as being like, I am an asshole, and you're gonna have to. Oh my, yeah, it's clear that Nasana Dantius is up to no good from like the moment that you meet her. Yeah, I've done it both ways, where like I went and talked to her, and then like specifically went out and looked for the stronghold. But I think in most of the playthroughs, once we get to the point where you know that all of these things are out there and that you can just go straight to the destinations, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go pick them up and then go back and forth between the Citadel and other places. It's really easier to just go to an entire sector and then like clear absolutely everything out, and then you just like wander blind into like a pirate stronghold and kill everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of what the completionist in me does. Like I show up to the system or whatever I'm supposed to go to, and then I will go to every other planet except the one I'm supposed to go to.
Yep. Yeah. So you're like, I'm never ever coming back to Artemis Tau ever again. Once we're finished, we're gonna strike that thing off the list and never return.
Main mission, distress signal be damned. I'm hitting every single planet on the list, going back to the Citadel, turning this in, and then coming back.
Yeah, because like you want to minimize the number of loading screens you have to go through overall. The let's see, is there anything else? I don't think there's much else in the even in the Artemis Tau cluster. I think like that Shargella might be the only other landable planet, except for the one that has
the Thresher Maw.
Yeah, the Thresher Maw that kills me every time because I accidentally go there. And we'll talk about that side quest mission later because it's got a whole thing on it. Not very much. It's all right. And yeah, so we what did you get? You guys are doing Paragon kind of, right? So did you like shame her for like trying to kill her sister or whatever?
We basically like, there's basically like the Paragon option. And I think it's the exact same thing as the Renegade option, where you just like, it could be useful to like, be owed a favor by the Spectre or something. He's like, sure, here's the armory license. Yeah.
I actually didn't have enough Renegade points to trigger the armory license thing for mine. I'm really bad at being a Renegade. Apparently, I'm so used to hitting the Paragon options on everything that I sometimes just do it without thinking about it, and then I'm like, oh wait, my Shepherd's supposed to be an asshole. Shit. I might actually have to go in and like maybe like I'll have to add some Renegade points at some point just so that I can make sure I see the options, because I'm missing out on content that I should be reporting on. Yeah, I also like that she has like if you just show up and you haven't talked to her, which is what I did. I didn't even talk to her in the bar at all at first this time. I just like she sent me her message when I showed up in the cluster, and then I killed her sister, came back, and then was like, "Here you go. Here's the stuff. By the way, you're totally guilty of, I guess, having a sister who's evil, but you're also totally evil too." And she's like, "Oh man, I was all prepared to try to manipulate you into killing her, but you just fucking did it."
Shepard is nothing if not efficient.
Yeah, and then we have a little bit to cover with this one under Shadowbroker Files. So,
true.
Is there anything else you want to? Yeah, you have anything else you want to report for her?
It was pretty straightforward. I do want to say that I had a great moment of like pulling up on the slaver camp, and I was feeling like, oh, those guys are shooting at you, and then just nuking the spot where like 3 or 4 of them were shooting at me, and just blowing them all, ragdolling them off in all directions. And it was just one of those nice little moments. Like, oh yes, this is why I like the Mako sometimes.
Oh yeah. That when you're fighting like just dudes on the ground and you hit them all with the big cannon is a satisfying feel for sure. We also are. This is maybe the first time that we're going to end up on. I think between the 2 side quests, we hit all of the like pre-made dungeons. Just or the 2 main types of pre-made dungeon.
I learned something this playthrough. Did you know you can climb up onto those boxes?
Wait, which boxes?
Like in the slaver dungeon, there's like low cover, and you can climb up, and there's like some chests up there. Like,
oh really?
You have to put your weapon away, and then you can make like you're going to cover, but like look at the option to climb up on top of it.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I've never done that. I didn't even know that there was a climb animation.
I found it by accident and was wondered how long I had missed that.
Yeah, for a long time is the answer, because like I said, I think I've played through full playthroughs like 7 times. So I've played this a lot, and I did not know that in ME1 Shepard could climb up things.
Yeah.
Oh, very weird. Okay. Well, luckily, you know, it's not like you're going to miss anything up there because it's just chest, like you said, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to go corner scratch at every new dungeon that I do after this and like go look for all of the low cover areas that I can climb up on top of. Thanks, Zach.
Also, you can find a box with some random stuff and a bit of med gel.
Yeah, which is definitely going to get turned into Omnigel at this point. Yeah. Oh, I've started playing a second playthrough with my wife to get her newbie perspective on stuff. And so I've learned a couple of things. One is that it's not always Caden who hits the beacon on Eden Prime. It's whichever human is a romanceable love interest for your shepherd. So if you're a male shep, then it's actually Ashley who does it, which says something to me that I didn't even know that was a fucking possibility because I don't ever play male shep. And then also to report for anybody else who's thinking about playing the Mass Effect Legendary Edition on computer, but with a controller, you now have to do the Frogger game, but with a controller, which is not fun. Like, I thought that like if they detected you had a controller, maybe they'd give you the Simon game instead, but nope. That is a huge pain in the ass.
I actually started playing a little bit of Andromeda, and I won't go into any details with it, but like playing with mouse and keyboard is like, oh, this game is a lot more fun with mouse and keyboard than it was when I was trying to play it with controller on PS4.
Yeah. Except for my initial playthrough of Mass Effect, I probably played it a couple times on the Xbox 360 back in the day. But like, I bought the computer version as soon as it came out, and I've been playing it on computer since, and it is just a world of difference in terms of like how good of a game it is when you can actually use a mouse to control the shooting.
Yeah, I'm just not a good FPS player with a controller.
I mean, I've logged a couple of 100 hours on Halo back in the day. I'm not that bad. Like it's not my favorite way to play an FPS. I'm not that bad, but I just don't think it's well suited. Like the controller just isn't a great isn't a great system for doing an FPS, but alas. Okay. Well, we have another side quest that we're going to cover here real quick. The UNC Rogue VI. Once Shepard is a sufficiently high level, Admiral Hackett, who's Lance fucking Hendrickson, by the way. Sorry, we just happened to get two badass voice actors in the same one. Lance Hendrickson is Bishop in the Aliens movies, and is like God, he's been in a billion stuff. Like if you see his face, you'll recognize him, and he's Admiral Hackett, and it's great.
Yeah, he has one of the most distinguishable voices in Mass Effect. Like you will recognize him every time you hear him.
We even have I have a thing I want to put into the Shadow Brokers files for that one, because in this game he pretty much only ever shows up as a voice on the comm, and it's like everything. You'll show up in a system and he'll be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, Shepard, I have a thing for you to do because I'm Admiral Badass Hackett, and you're gonna do my fun stuff with me." But like you only ever see him there. So anyway, Admiral Hackett calls Shepard because a defense training VI has gone rogue. Where is this VI? On the moon. Tech support Shepard flies to the local cluster, then the Sol system, then to the moon, and you'll find a cluster of small bunkers that need to clear out. Blow up the turrets on top and then disable like 1 billion drones inside to get you access to the VI's brains, which you repair with a lot of bullets until they blow up. After each bunker is clear, the VAI enables more defenses in the remaining bunkers. Not that would stop even a normal sysadmin who's trying to prevent a downtime, let alone Shepard. When you destroy the final systems, the VI is defeated, and a single mysterious binary message is sent from the dying digital mind. And then afterwards, you're given your specialist class for your N7 Spectre character thing. It gives you and unlocks some additional skills and stuff for you. So going to the moon is fun. I'm really glad that they gave us at least one thing to do back in the Sol system.
Yeah.
Like just running around on the moon. I'm still deeply disappointed that there's only like one thing to like. There's like a downed satellite that I think is a historical satellite that we go and like take its brains out of at one point because you loot some electronics gear out of it. I so wish that I could fart around a lot and find more Easter eggs, like an Apollo capsule or something, or like an old rover, or I don't know, it's just something else there.
Definitely a missed opportunity.
I feel, I mean, I'm glad that we got to go there. I love that the gravity feels different on the moon. Like it's one of the low gravity worlds, so you can the Mako actually feels different. And being able to look up and see Earth is just a neat visual thing. Like it feels very grounded.
Yeah.
But like, I do wish there was more to do there. And it is interesting to go fly to all of the planets and read the little descriptions for what's going on with Earth and Venus and Mars and stuff like that. I will say, I know that they didn't have the resources to do it, but I so wish you could land on Earth and like do something, anything on Earth or Mars or something. Like, like just having any kind of connection back to Earth, especially if your character like mine is an Earth origin shepherd. Like,
yeah, if you could go check on your parents or something, or just Earth shepherd's an orphan, right?
Yeah, but like going back to the haunts or meeting somebody or like seeing a part of Earth that Shepard's never seen before, like, you know, the rich part of Earth or like an army base or something. I don't know. Like it just feels like we're so close to Earth. Like you literally can fly there, but then not do anything with it. It just feels like, I don't know. I just wish they could have put maybe in a DLC or something like that. I wish they could have allowed you, because that would allow, I feel like that would give you a slightly more emotional connection to this version of Earth.
Yes.
That would be useful later on.
Just like have like one NPC that you meet there or something.
Yeah. Or even like a space station or an orbit around Earth where there's just a couple of merchants, you know, where you can like go and buy some stuff and you can look out a window at like the, you know, the rotating Earth beneath you or something like that. And maybe talk to a couple of people and have them tell you about their lives on Earth or something. Like just almost anything, you know, like
the moon just felt very empty. Like,
yeah,
it just felt like a footnote kind of.
Yeah, it felt like a thing that they put there. I mean, I'm glad it's there. I'd rather have it than not. It also points out to me that I wish I could get a little bit closer to, you know, seeing the version of the future that they've got for us. And there's it's a shame. I wish there was a little bit more to do there. As for the actual mission itself of the Rogue VI, it's a pretty really? Oh, okay. I was just going to say, it's a pretty Spartan mission. Like you get a call from Admiral Hackett, who I love Admiral Hackett, and I will always enjoy hearing from him. But like you go to 3 identical bunkers, kill essentially the same enemies. And each time that you like blow up little power conduits or whatever, it adds another little like layer of difficulty to it. Although that doesn't measurably change how difficult the encounters are to me. Like it doesn't, they always feel like afterthoughts a lot.
Yeah.
And it's all the same type of enemy. It's the exact same layout. It's a pretty sparse mission. This is not a particularly interesting side quest.
You're playing on Insanity, right?
I'm playing second to most.
Okay, so it's not like hard difficulty or
it's like this. It's not it's second from the top. I forget what it's called, but it's second from the top.
But like, is the poison like an appreciable factor at all?
No, it's not. The poison doesn't do anything.
Like it just changes your health bar to green.
Yes, at least with my shepherd and my level of gear and stuff like that, it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, and now I will tell you, if you're not good at the game and you're playing on a higher difficulty, every time you go into one of those bunkers, save, because if you're not used to making manual saves, then the only save point you're automatically going to get is landing on the surface. And driving, if you die at all, driving back over to those bunkers and then replaying 1 or 2 of them in order to get back to the point where you were before, because it's such a samey thing, like there's no extra fun there. That is a huge pain in the ass. And I would recommend that after you kill the turrets on top of them, at least save there. And then probably each time you go into a bunker, save it again.
Let me tell you why I hate this mission.
Please do. Yes.
And it's those force fields. Like that's the only thing that makes, because as a sniper, like I feel like it's number of shots or something and not like the power of the shots. So it takes 3 sniper shots, which is incidentally right around the time that it triggers the cooldown on your sniper rifle. So it's bam, 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 wait, bam, bam, bam to kill the terminal. So I sat there for like 5 minutes just waiting to clear out these terminals.
Yeah, that's when it's nice to have like a pistol or something around that's got some rapid fire that you could just like, if you'd invested in your pistol or something, at least that you could just pull it out and pop, because that is excruciating. I will tell you, there are just too many of those consoles to do. Like the fact that there are in each one of those rooms, there are 4 of them and there's 2 rooms per thing and you've got to do 3 of the bunkers. That's, whatever, 21, 24, I think. 24 because it's 8 times 3. So like, that's just too many. There are too many of those things. Like you just have to kill too many. And like at that point, you've already killed everything in the dungeon. So there's no like time pressure or anything.
Mhm.
You're just sitting there blowing things up. It would have been so nice if you could have like set some charges and then blown them up on your way out, or if there was just one console, or each time you blew them up, you got like another codex entry or a little bit more information, or had a dialogue with the VI or something. Like it's really boring.
Or even just like if they wanted to keep that pressure up or like make it feel dangerous, like just keep spawning waves and you have to deal with like taking these things down while these waves are incoming.
Yeah. Or for a quality of life improvement, have those things that you have to blow up, have them marked as hostile creatures so that your companions will also start firing.
Yes.
And everything will, and they will just help you take them out quicker. And then it feels like you're running in, smashing and grabbing and blowing everything up. And that would feel very dynamic. You can tell that this was a mission that somebody came up with and was sort of left on their own to design, I think. Like it was, they didn't have a lot of time and resources invested in this, which is weird because it is the point where you get your specialization. So they are expecting you to go do this mission. It's not part of the mainline plot. You can skip it, but like it feels like they're expecting you to do it. And there just wasn't a lot of effort put into it. There's one enemy type, there's some turrets. All 3 of the dungeons are exactly the same layout. I don't think it's possible that like maybe the junk that's like that creates covered inside of them is different from one or the other, but it doesn't feel like it is.
Like for me, at least, like as the sniper class, like the gameplay there involves opening the door, sniping something, and then backing up and just letting the room contents flood towards you. So like the layout of the room has no bearing at all on gameplay for me. Can I also say it's just really weird, like that the specialization was tied to this mission.
Yes.
And like how just out of left field, like getting that specialization even feels, because like, there's no indication that there's like something to unlock or anything. It's just like, oh, by the way, here's this extra skill tree that you can now invest points in for reasons.
Yeah. Again, it doesn't feel like they put a lot of resources or thought into this layout because, again, if this had been a thing where, maybe when Admiral Hackett contacts you, he says, look, we have a training base on the moon. Would you like to come here and get some training? You show up, and then it turns out that the VI that runs the place is going rogue, and maybe like, obviously you would have had to have gotten a writer to sit down and write out a plot. You would have had to hire some more voice actors. You would have generated some new content, although probably you could have reused the sort of generalized assets that they mostly are using through the game. I don't feel like it would have been that hard to build this into something that you were expecting the fact that it comes to that it's part of your specialization, and also make it interesting and memorable, because
I would have loved to have seen this mission done like with like the ME3 sort of like attention to detail with the dungeons.
Yes, or even ME2. Like there's lots of missions in ME2 that are side missions where you're flying off to a thing and there is a custom map that they've laid out that has stuff in it, and like it doesn't feel very alive. We'll have to get a little bit in there. I have some more thoughts about a lot of thoughts about this that are going to get into the Shadow Broker files. Surprisingly, this side quest fucking episode is all Shadow Broker files. So I want to quickly.
One more thing.
Okay.
I have one more thing I want to talk about, and that's like the missed opportunity with Earth. And I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but like one of my favorite tropes, like in sort of like sci-fi shows in general, is like the introduction of an alien species to Earth. Like just having like some little like party banter or whatever with like like Rex or Garrus or Tally like dealing with Earth and Earth customs would have been a lot of fun to me.
Yeah. It's just such a shame because I almost can't talk like because it's so much about it is about later games. But I so wish they had done more with this. Like this getting so close to Earth, seeing it up on your screen and then not being able to visit, not being able to bring your party members there, not even having interaction with your backstory. Like it feels tacked on. Like it just feels like this was done. If this had been an Easter egg, then I would have felt a lot differently. Where if you weren't like sent to the local cluster for a mission that is, as far as I can tell, you are meant to have this mission.
Mm-hmm.
They assume that you are going to do it. You're going to get your specialization from it. They're going to reference it later. This is a big deal. If instead it had been like, if you just like wander around the map and you accidentally find the location of the local cluster that you weren't really sent to do, and you just fly there yourself and then find the training facility and the rogue VI, then it would feel like, oh, cool. I found something that was, of course they didn't put a lot of resources into it. This is hidden, right? And we don't expect Easter eggs to take up a bunch of resources. But instead they like send us here and then don't do anything with that, like with all of the attention that they're putting onto it. They don't pay it off, basically. 100%. Okay. It's now time for us to break into Shadow Broker Files, where we can talk about a lot of stuff.
Shadow Broker Files.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Before we get into the big stuff, which is basically going to be the UNC Rogue VI mission, let's talk quickly about Nassana Dantius, who shows back up in Mass Effect 2. In fact, she is, when you are recruiting your future companion Thane, she is like the main villain of that arc. She's the person that Thane has been sent to kill, and you are going to go, you're trying to find Thane by tracking her. And she shows back up and she goes like, oh crap, it's you. I knew I should have, like, I don't know, killed you when I had a chance or something like that. Or now you're just coming back to finish the job. And I remember the first time I played ME2, I was like, who the fuck are you? Like she comes in expecting me to have remembered who she was. And me as the player was like, that was like 3 years ago. I have no clue who you are. I probably played the mission, but she had made such a small impression on me that I was like, I have no fucking clue who Nassana Dantius is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit that moment of like, I guess it's the Thanos meme where he's like, I don't even know who you are. Where it's like, you ruined my life. And he's like, I don't know who you are. And that's who I felt like at that moment. Where it's like, I have no fucking clue what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's all there is for her in Mass Effect 2. She shows up, she dies. That's fine. Okay. Before we get into one little diversion before we get into the whole Rogue VI thing. If you're on the moon, you can find the Rachni song.
Really? Where?
This is something that shows up on yes, it is very close to the satellite that you salvage. You have to go up on the ridge and you can hear it. If you go to the Mass Effect wiki, every landable planet in Mass Effect 1 has a map and they mark everything on it. You can also hear it in the Shargilla sector. So if you are a person who doesn't mind spoilers, but hasn't played the game yet, the Rachni are the big evil. They're the buggers, basically. They're the bugs from Starship Troopers. They're the buggers from Ender's Game, basically. They're this huge hive mind species that was supposedly wiped out. They're actually not gone. They've been resurrected by Saren. We're going to get to that in a few missions. And there are places in the world where you can find their song. The song that's like that is like their hive mind communication. And if you're driving around in the Mako, you'll hear it out of nowhere on certain spots on the planet. And there's one on the moon. And what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, that's a little terrifying.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was like, oh my God, like the Rachni song is here, which that says to me is that somehow like Cerberus or the Alliance or somebody has gotten a hold of some of the Rachni drones or something and is holding them on the moon for like secret, evil purposes or something like that. I don't know. It's never brought up again. It's just, I guess it's just an Easter egg, but like it has plot implications to me.
Yeah. Like I wonder if, wonder how close Earth came to being like just another planet wiped out by the Rachni before, like what if the Krogan were fighting Rachni on the moon?
That would be cool. Like, yeah, this is a better way to do something like an Easter egg. Like I was complaining about the fact, or talking about in the mission debrief about how if you do something small like this, it's okay that you don't invest a lot because, and it's, just a little thing, but like it leads to implications. And this is the kind of Easter egg that I like, where it's like, oh, you could do really cool things building off of this idea. And it's just a tiny little detail that's thrown in there. It's so weird. Like maybe like the idea that maybe there are like Rachni eggs underneath the surface of the moon or something like that, waiting to be born. That would be fun as a as a follow-up Easter egg idea, which was like in a later game, maybe Mass Effect 3, going to these various locations where the Rachni song can be found, going back to those planets and finding Rachni who you can then dig back up, and they further increase the Rachni war assets that you get in Mass Effect 3. And just because like where that wouldn't take too much, like it would just be a degree of like flying in, throwing a probe down and then leaving or something like that, or one of those ideas. That would be cool. Like, because there are multiple places where the Rachni song could be heard on various planets. And so like, this is the kind of thing that you could follow up on if you need to. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On to UNC Rogue VI. So this stupid little mission that neither of us like is the basis of a bunch of bullshit in the later games. It gets referenced directly in Mass Effect 2, where they're talking about like if you react badly to EDI, they bring this up and they name the VI. It's called Hannibal, I think. And they mention offhand that you did this task for them and that they got a hold of it. And then in Mass Effect 3, it's revealed that they spliced this Rogue VI, or a copy of it that they had, together with Reaper Tech and make EDI. This is EDI. This is Proto EDI, right? Who we're going to meet in Mass Effect 2. And it's just this like one throw off thing. And like, again, this is the kind of thing where when I was playing through that later versions of these games, I didn't remember that I had done this. They're just like, oh, we're going to build a whole future thing off this side mission that you could totally have not skipped exactly. You could skip it, but like also that you just may not remember at all because it was so forgettable. Okay. By the way, the mysterious binary message that is sent out by the Rogue VI, if you translate it from binary, is just help. So that like in a last little moment of pathos, when you're killing this thing off, it like sends out a help distress signal and like begging you not to kill it, I guess. I don't know. It's
sorry, EDI.
Yeah, sorry, EDI. Although it didn't seem to stop anybody because, like I said, they graft Reaper Tech onto this thing and make EDI later on. Yeah, I don't like.
God, I forgot about the whole like Reaper Tech splicing.
Yeah. That's why she's able to interface with the Reaper IVF or whatever later in Mass Effect 2, is because she's built off Reaper Tech, which seems like a fucking stupid idea.
I mean, those services, that was Cerberus's whole deal.
Yeah, like we're gonna do this stupid, and in which I guess it leads to resurrecting Shepard. So I guess that's, you know, we can give them credit for having the occasional good idea, but
yeah,
nonetheless, yeah. I've already said this in it like twice before in this single episode, but like, man, I wish they put more effort into this. I wish it had been a bigger thing, because the fact that they build off of it later means that they felt like it was a big thing, or maybe they decided that it was post fact. They were decided it was going to be a big deal, but like you could completely forget that you even did this, you know? Yeah. Since we're in Shadow Broker Files, I don't mind saying, because later in this game, there is, for you haven't done it yet. I've done it, where there's a mission where you find a rogue AI that was created, and it's siphoning gambling.
I actually did do that one.
Okay. And then you can you follow its trail back to a certain spot, and then it's like, I'm trapped in this terminal and I'm going to blow up instead of like letting you capture me. That mission is more memorable to me than this one, despite the fact that they never reference it again.
Play Simon Says with the AI or blow up.
Yeah. Jeez. Should we check in with our have you done the conversations with your crew yet, or do we want to talk about those? Or?
Oh yeah, I did. I talked a bit with I think everybody. We got a little insight into the genophage. We got we talked with Ashley. We actually skipped most of the dialogue with Ashley because Jess is not a fan of Ashley and didn't really care what she had to say.
I'm like the resident Ashley defender. I feel like she gets a bad rap. In part, I don't like the dog comment, although I think I know where she's coming from, which is that she comes from a world of like more like hunting dogs rather than like companion dogs. And also like there has been a sort of change in the zeitgeist from our generation coming to age about exactly how precious dogs are. Anyway,
Yes.
I think that's the thing that
The
aged
most
well.
precious.
Yeah. But like specifically her comment about how she doesn't really like that there are aliens running around the Alliance's most technological ship. It does make a kind of sense if you reframed it as she's thinking of them not as another race, but as foreign nationals. Like it's a little bit like if you were you're on the US's top nuclear submarine, and like a Chinese cop shows up one day and is just like hanging around, or like a runaway teen is now allowed to work on the nuclear engine. And it's like, I think I can understand what they're talking about. I don't think it was done well. I think they could have made that idea clearer, because obviously a lot of people have had that reaction to her. Again, I feel like I end up being the Ashley apologist, but I am like one of the few people out there who I find myself defending her because I kind of like her. But anyway.
Yeah, I just think she's just a little too rough around the edges. I think we got a little bit of insight into Jump Zero and
his thing about like there being a bunch of children who like were quote unquote accidentally exposed by a giant corporation in order to make biotics that's some pretty dystopian shit right there.
Yeah, I always thought like the Jump Zero thing was a really cool.
Yeah,
look, like they kind of like basically address how magic works in the world of Mass Effect through Kaidan and a little bit through the Asari.
Describing that you get exposed to element 0, which gives you some psychic powers, which you can then
or usually just gives you cancer,
which you can then use something called a biotic amp to like amplify your you allow the technology to control it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of cool that like it wasn't just like magic. Like they actually had to like basically they had to do implants on you to and that actually becomes a story point with Kaidan being an L2 versus the more modern L3s where like they don't really have any problems with side effects, but like the L2s get bad headaches, get migraines, that kind of thing.
But the L2s have more raw power accessible to them, is what I understand it too. Yeah, I actually kind of, with his description of Jump Zero, I actually kind of would like to have seen Jump Zero a little bit more. Like, I don't know if we'll get that in further dialogue conversations with him, because honestly, I don't need to actually see it. I just mean like I need to hear more about it, hear more stories and stuff, because that would be kind of maybe like journal entries or like more information about it, because that's kind of a cool setting of like, it's basically wizard school, but for like biotics, basically.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit somewhere between boot camp and school and like a summer camp. Like it was interesting. I feel like you could tell interesting stories with that setting.
Yeah,
for sure.
I get the impression it was definitely more like abusive boarding school than Harry Potter.
Yeah. I guess in that case more like I don't know young adult fiction. I know there are dystopic schools out there as well. I have to say Garrus, especially ME1 Garrus, has not aged well to me. His version of vigilantism of like, I'm a cop and I want to kill the enemy. I want to kill criminals is like very much like, God, the way I came out across it when I was talking to him was he would definitely have a Blue Lives Matter flag on his fucking like armor. This modern time, he would have a Punisher symbol on his fucking armor if the iconography had been there, because he's very much like a us versus them. I need to have the chains taken off so that I need all this red tape and all this like civil rights are like getting in the way of me killing the enemy or killing the.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right.
And I'm like, I think I know what they were going for, was that they were trying to make a little bit of Batman of like the like I need to go farther and do more than the but it's like, oh yeah, that especially in the last even just the last 5 years as you know the public perception of cops has changed. It's like, ooh, this is the worst version of the rogue cop that I can think of.
Yeah, I do think like they're trying to walk a line of like I feel like Garrus is supposed to either go like, discipline or like you're basically trying to like create a balancing force for Garrus. Like he's like trying to lean away from all like this duty bound, by the book stuff. And like he wanted to do like a like he really idolizes the Spectres, and you either have the option to be like, yeah, I mean, the Spectre's great, or being like, like, yeah, but it shouldn't be like that.
If we were given the task of rebooting Mass Effect, one of the changes I would make would be that Garrus, his objection to CSEC would be Batman style. He doesn't like the corruption that exists in CSEC, rather than he doesn't like the fact that CSEC holds him back because they've got too many rules. Like if his objection instead was like, dude, you do not know the number of white collar criminals that I had to let go because my bosses knew that that going after those guys was not as resource efficient as going after the poor people. Like if that was his objection, if his thing was like, yeah, as much as I would like to do, the big crimes against the little people, like I was never allowed to do that, because those people were too rich, too powerful, our superiors were on the side of these things. That would make that whole idea a lot more tolerable.
Another thing is like, I would love to have like a noir detective story set on the Citadel as a CSEC cop, like where you're just like interviewing Volus and Elcor and.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah. You could do a whole bunch of, you could even use, what's the name of the guy? Bailey. You could use Bailey as him.
Oh yeah.
He's from Mass Effect 2 at least.
Yeah. I think he might be in 1. I remember his character was bad enough to be in 1.
But yeah, a noir detective story, or even if it wasn't CSEC, if it was, the private detective kind of idea, would be really cool too. But yeah, the Citadel, it's a really good setting, and because it's so vast, you could do a lot of different things with it. That'd be really cool. Okay, who else do we finally get to, when we interview Tali, we finally get a little bit of insight into the Quarians. Mm-hmm. And holy crap, did I forget quite how much I drew from the Quarians to make the family in Breathing Space. I may have to cut this bit because it's not really about this podcast. But like, I was like, oh yeah, I knew I was drawing from this. I didn't realize quite how close it was. Just as an embarrassing story too. There are 2 other things. One was when I was like, I had to come up with names. I was like writing like, I just need a list of like locations. And I was type, and somebody was like, mentions Arcturus. And I was like, that sounds right. Okay. And then like for like an entire like year after writing that dialogue, I was like, why did I choose Arcturus? Arcturus is a star. Why does Arcturus Station sound right? And then I'm like, I was reading up on Mass Effect. I'm like, oh, I stole that from Mass Effect. And then another thing is in Breathing Space, we've got a location called Terminal Station, which I have mistakenly called Terminus a bunch of times. And I'm like, why the fuck do I keep calling it Terminus? And then I was like, oh, it's because that's also from Mass Effect.
Yeah. Oh, I also had one small encounter. I probably should have mentioned this back in the debrief, but so like while in the Citadel, we bumped into like I'm playing the Spacer background, and we had sort of a old washed up Marine who knew my mom and just needed a few bucks to get by.
Oh yeah, is that the one where you can call your mom?
No, not this time around, but I think that is something of an option later on.
I personally think that the Spacer background is the best background to play through the series because you end up calling your mom a bunch of times and they like, you don't ever have a mom other than that, but like, she's just like proud of you and like, is like sweet. It's really nice. I like the fact that you have a mom. It's like one of the few games out there where you can just like call your mom and be like, hi mom, how's it going?
Like, I feel like that's like an underutilized thing in games. Like I feel like all too often, like the death of a parent is used as like the driving motivational force. And I mean, I guess lately with like games like God of War or whatever, like they're kind of tapping into that parent-child relationship a little bit more. But I really like the idea of like you just having parents that you can call up and be like, hey, here's what I did today. I fought a dragon and is right next. We're so proud of you, honey. And my father's like, why not 2 dragons?
I would, if I was rebooting Mass Effect, one of the things I would do is just like, you would be able to call your mom every once in a while. Like there would just like, you go to your cabin or whatever, and there's a little thing where like your a little interact option on your terminal, and you just have a quick scene where it's like, hi mom, how's it going? Blah, 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 like just have like, just a little conversation. Cause little humanizing moments like that, they don't cost much to produce. You don't have to make new assets. You'll have to record with your VO, but you're already going to have those people presumably in the system anyway. And like, there's relatively little animation because they're just talking on the phone. But like that kind of stuff, low investment, and you can do a ton of storytelling with it, and you can build the world out and like build your character with it and stuff.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of, there's a thing that has happened in modern, like more modern, like dialogue-based games are leaning into the idea that you can, by selecting the dialogue choices, you can determine things about the world retroactively. Like I know that this happens in Kentucky Route Zero, where they ask you like, is the dog, like there's a dog and they're like, what's the dog's name? And you respond and you have now named the dog based off of that thing. And that dog was always called that, you know, it's just a way of just defining facts about the world. And this would be that would be a perfect opportunity for you to do the same sort of thing about like letting you sort of role play Shepard's childhood, you know, and like determine stories about like how, you know, put a prompt in there where they can talk about, you know, I don't know, your mom's apple pie or something, to be really stereotypical or whatever, like talking about like something, and that would build you like further backstory into this character. It'd be really, really easy. Yeah.
I think they do a fair bit of that with Dragon Age Inquisition, if I can remember.
Oh, okay.
Like which kind of piggybacked off of Mass Effect 3, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's hardly surprising.
I can't remember. I think Inquisition was, if Inquisition is the one I'm remembering, I remember it being like the best of the mainline Dragon Age games. That's the one that I like. They had really perfected the. Yeah,
I'll always have a soft spot for Origins, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a soft spot for Origins. I don't. I only made it through that game because I wanted to play the next one, whichever was the one with Hawk in it, which I really liked their version of Hawk, which was basically like, what if we did Shepard but in Dragon Age? And I was like, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, I like the gameplay in that. I hated all the level design in that. It was just too samey. I didn't mind the level design. It was, we're talking about an entirely different BioWare game now. I did like the characters and everything. And I think Inquisition built well off of that too. I felt like Inquisition really rode the line well between allowing you to define your character and still feeling like a character and not like an empty avatar, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, let us get on to the character bracket.
All right.
Character bracket.
So this week we have Kaidan Alenko versus Matriarch Benezia.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's weird because I don't like Kaidan very much. He's the least interesting of the companions, but he is a companion. And he does manage to stick, depending on what your choices are, he can manage to stick all the way through all three games, make appearances all the way through. He's romanceable. I like his backstory about being, about Jump Zero and all that stuff. But otherwise, something about him has had such a little impact on me that I can barely remember anything about him. And I very rarely ever like take him on anything or do anything with him.
Yeah.
Whereas Matriarch Benezia has Marina Sirtis as her voice actress. And I will give a lot of credit just from the fact that Counselor Troy is playing an evil villain in this game.
I wish we got more of Matriarch Benezia. Like,
yeah,
the fact that she's like a villainous Asari is just kind of like, we don't get any insight into that. It's just like that when you meet her, she's already a villain. And
apparently she's got followers. That's mentioned in the initial description of her, is that she's a matriarch and she's got a bunch of people who follow her, which is assumingly when you eventually face off with her on, I think it's Noveria, you fight a bunch of Asari commandos who are under her command. And like, those are her followers. Why are they her followers? We don't ever get that explained. Like, that's just kind of a missed opportunity. Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that she's Liara's mother is also just like, it's brought up a few times, but it has no impact on like the plot at all.
Kind of like it's only an excuse for you to go find Liara, kind of like, it's only the reason why you go do it. And then after that, it's not super important that she's there.
And I seem to remember Liara having a very mild reaction if you bring her along to Noveria. Like, just like,
she's mad. I remember. It's not the same. it's not as dramatic a reaction as you might imagine, because of course they have the limitations of trying to make this work both with and without Liara. Man, I don't know why my brain's fucking up on that name. You have to make it work both with and without Liara. I personally think that would be the kind of situation where if you had Liara in your, if you had already recruited her and you went to Novera, I think that character should insist to come along and be like, no, I'm going on this because of course I am.
Because how weird would it be like, hey, I'm going to go kill your mom. Be back in a bit.
Yeah, that seems weird. Now, I can understand why you could just go to Noveria first and then pick up Liara later and somehow skip Liara. But I feel like they should have just assumed that that she's really likely to be there and built that plot around having Liara there, you know?
Yeah, 'cause I don't think you actually learn that Venezia is on the planet until after you arrive on the planet. So,
yeah, okay. Well, nonetheless, I still think that they should have assumed that she was going to be there and take advantage of the fact that you now have this connection, because that kind of plot connection is really important to making an emotional reaction to the scene, you know? Like having Venezia contact Liara and be like, hey, I'm actually on the side of good. You should come hang out with me. In fact, bring Shepard. Shepard can join us, you know? And like having a conversation and learning about her as a character and like why she's working with Saren. And like the only reason why they wouldn't do that is because they want to keep everything a secret, right? Is like, you can't have a conversation with Venezia because then Venezia would explain who the Reapers are and what the conduit is and that it's on blah, 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 blah. And probably too much of the plot gets revealed at that point, I guess. But it sucks.
Like how bonkers would it be though if like they gave you like a dialogue challenge to like actually keep Liara in your party instead of having her join
100%. I think it's not so much that it would be a challenge. I think it's one of those things where a little bit like the genocide run, you'd have to try to fail it. But even presenting it as an option that you could fail it and that she could leave right then would be really cool, because you could see that you could see, you know, like you have to choose something. And if you do, it's not, people are pretty smart. They can look at the dialogue options and go like, oh, look, if I fuck this up, she could go. And that's a real option. And, you know, like that would have an emotional impact on the player. You know, I don't think it would be that hard to do.
And how cool would it be like if you didn't actually like kill her off then, and like she just became like the Shadow Broker, but on the side of the Reapers?
I don't know. I think that if you convince her, or if Venezia convinces her to leave and then you kill Venezia anyway, the way I'd run it is that not that Liara becomes she's on the side of the Reapers now, because there wasn't that enough time there for her to like get totally bought in on it, but rather that she's like, dude, you just killed my mom, like who I had reconciled with, fuck you. And she leaves on her own. And then the next time you see her, she's already become the Shadow Broker, like into, and like, it's just a darker turn version of all of that. You just never get to see that part of her story. Would be really cool. I feel like you could make that work without like totally derailing the plot.
Sure. Yeah. I think that'd definitely make less of a forking path for developers to have to develop content for. And anyway,
no, because we're still talking about Venezia. And I was going to say, since the main theme of Venezia is that she's not as cool as she could be. Like we really like her, or I really like her. I even like her like character design. I like the fact that she's wearing like a headdress and she's got like the Asari have a very, and this is a function of the people who designed these character designs, but they do have a very like sex forward, like sexy forward version of themselves. Like the Asari faction has a very sleek, holes cut out of in strategic places sort of aesthetic, and that turns into an evil look pretty easily, and I think in a good way. But what I was going to say was, even if they had just done something like leave everything the same up until after you kill her, and then give us an option where we get like recordings of her talking about like Asari philosophy or something, and then like you can walk in on Liara like listening to those or something like that, would be a really cool character moment of like having like there were ways that without too much trouble they could have built on that character and given us more of a thing there. And it really sucks that there's such a lack there. That being said, the other option here is Kaidan, who I'm on record, not my favorite companion. I don't really have strong feelings. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Zach. I don't know who we pick.
I'm going to have to go with Caden because there's actually like the fact that he's basically one of your choices to kill off makes him kind of an interesting pick. Like he impacts the plot in a pretty big way. Like whether you
can,
whether you keep him or don't. So yeah, and him being in a companion kind of gives him a little bit of an edge, and just the fact that they didn't do as much as they could have with Benezia. So yeah, my vote would be to push Caden to the next round.
Okay, I will tell our listeners there are companions who will not make it out of the first round. I'm pretty sure. We're not just always going to pick the more plot important character the whole way through.
Yeah, but I think Caden also has he has more time to grow as an interesting character. He has an arc.
Yeah, and like I said, part of the problem that I have with Caden is just that I never take him. I never use him for anything, and therefore, and that becomes a sort of self-fulfilling or like a positive or negative feedback loop or whatever. Because every time I play Mass Effect, who am I going to choose to kill off? Well, I like Ashley a little bit more than I like Caden.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to choose to kill off Caden. And then he's never there in Mass Effect 2. He's never there in Mass Effect 3. So then the next time I come around to play, I choose again. Who am I going to choose? Well, I like Ashley a little bit more. So I never learn about him. I never even bring him on any like missions or anything like that. I just, he doesn't, for whatever reason, he doesn't compel me. Not that Ashley is like a top tier companion either, but she just edges him out enough that in my brain, I don't ever take him. So
like, I think I take him early on just because he's kind of my lock picking guy. If I'm not playing a tech specialized character.
Oh, okay. Huh. Okay.
So like Mass Effect 1, like if you need someone and you don't want to be slapping Omnigelon and everything, which if you're,
Yeah.
So he sort of becomes I use him more than Ashley in any event.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Not like I said, not that I use Ashley a lot more, but she at least shows up in the later games, really is how it comes down to, is that like she's the one who manages to make it off of Villar. Okay, well, we're marking down Caden Alenko as our pick for this time. That means that I'm just going to take a quick glance at next time just because I want to know. Bracket. I have to mark it down on here that he won anyway. I'm not going to include this in the actual episode, but it's Shepherd's Fish versus Shiala.
Ooh.
I don't know who wins that one actually, because Shiala is the green Asari from from Pharos, and Shepherd's Fish are some fish. But that was the point where I was like, I had like 62. I had 62 things. And I'm like, I have to get to 64 divisible by 8. What do I pick? And I'm like, Shepherd's Fish and Char. And they got added in at the end. Okay. Well, on that note, we will catch you guys later. I don't know exactly what our next episode is going to be because it matters a little bit what gets played between now and then. But if you want to know, check the roadmap down below, or not down below. This is a podcast app. Who knows where the description is? But check the description of this episode, and there is a link to our roadmap of how we of what our episodes are. And on that case, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, tentatively, it's going to be Pharos, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. Sounds great.
All right, till next time.
All right, till next time. Thank you for listening to the N7 Project. If you would like to read the upcoming playthrough roadmap, there is a link in the show notes below. We can be found on Twitter as @N7Project, at our website, masseffectpodcast.com, or via our Discord, scottpaladin.com/Discord. If you'd like to support the podcast, honestly, the easiest way to be to write us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or your podcatcher of choice. We read every one of those, and it gives us a real boost every time, and it helps people find the podcast. Or if you want to give monetary support, all funds to our Patreon, patreon.com/monsterpod, will also go to supporting this podcast. Mass Effect is associated characters, sounds, plot points, whatever, are copyright by some giant faceless corporation. The N7 Project was produced and edited by me, Scott Paladin, and hosted by myself and my best friend, Zach Jaquays. Audio is copywritten 2022, Scott Paladin. This has been a Library of Cursed Knowledge production.